And happy new week. I am always excited to welcome you to the show, MX Conversations. My name is Kwame A.A Opoku. On social media is at Future is Kwame, across board, where you can always engage on the things that you want us to talk about, the topics that you have some level of curiosity about, and you would love for experts to come and break it down for you. I hope you're having an amazing week. I hope that whatever it is, you're not giving up or backing down in any way. And today's conversation is one that would truly interest you because it's a global conversation. Everybody is talking about it. It's one of the industries that is littered with controversy and printing millionaires on a daily basis. When I come back from this commercial break, there's a major buzz about Bitcoin. We will be talking Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Commercial break, stick and stay. When I come back, we jump right into the conversation right here on MX24GH. Welcome back from that commercial break, MX Conversations. Today, we will be having a conversation about a particular digital currency and everything that has to do with it. Now, there is a major buzz about Bitcoin currently all over the world. Everybody is talking about it. What do you need to know before you get involved? And we're going to be talking about it also because, especially here in Ghana, the SEC and the Bank of Ghana has come out a couple of times to give out some directives about the fact that they have not been able to regulate Bitcoin yet, and also that it is not accepted as a legal tender in this country. What does this mean for people who are trading Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies already? Now, to have this conversation, I have a very good friend of mine who is a brother, who is somebody who's been in this space for a very long time. He trades all types of markets. He trades Forex. I know that he does stocks. I know that he trades cryptocurrencies, one of the very early adopters and investors in Bitcoin, to help me have this conversation. His name is Emmanuel Kankam, and he runs a decentralized exchange called SF Switch, and he'll be telling us about that as well. So, Emmanuel, if you can hear me, welcome to MX Conversations.
Hello, Kwame. Thank you very much, and greetings to your listeners and your viewers as well.
Thank you. How are you doing, brother?
Oh, by the grace of God, we are doing very well. In spite of whatever is happening in the market.
Instead of whatever is happening in the market.
Of the cycle.
Now, how did you survive last week? Now, for those of you who don't know, let me give you some context. So last week, the cryptocurrency market suffered over a 70% minus 70% crash across board. Bitcoin came down from its all-time high of about $65,000 per Bitcoin to $30,000 per Bitcoin. Ethereum, which is the second biggest cryptocurrency in the world, came back from its all-time high of $4,500 and kissed $1,800, which is minus 60%, and people were scared. How did you manage that throughout the whole of last week, my brother?
So it's quite interesting. For someone like me and the team that I run, we are a group of, we call ourselves quantitative analysts, right? So we actually saw a potential crash. Well, people call it a dip, I call it a crash. So we actually exited some of our positions prior to the fall. We didn't notice that it was going to take this long.
Yeah.
Because history has taught us that normally in the summer, the cryptocurrency space, picks up.
Yeah.
And also because we expected a huge flow of investment into the space because of COVID and the fact that people have a lot of money sitting down somewhere and very idle.
Yeah.
So we saw it coming, but we didn't anticipate the impact.
Amazing. Now, the question I want to ask is, I don't know anything about Bitcoin, okay? I'm just starting my journey. I don't know anything about cryptocurrencies. Give me an introduction. What is this Bitcoin thing? What are these digital assets? What is this cryptocurrency thing? Just an intro such that the 10-year-old little boy can understand what this is.
Okay, so a lot of people start their introduction with saying Bitcoin is a digital asset that you can transfer amongst people. I normally want to liken it to buying a piece of land, where you have the same piece of land, but over the course of time, because of demand and supply, the price of your land goes up. However, you can sell a portion of your land. It doesn't mean that you've lost your entire property, but you've just sold a part of it so that you can have some money left to chew. So, in a nutshell, Bitcoin is just an asset, a new asset class, a digital asset that you can transfer amongst your peers that does not need any middleman or any intermediary that we are normally used to, like the banks, to facilitate that transaction. And because there are little or no middlemen in such transactions, the fees or the cost of transferring is extremely low. At times it's even negligible. So that is how, that is what Bitcoin is. And because, a lot of people are now using it, the demand keeps on picking up.
Absolutely.
Currently, Bitcoin has done about 13 million% in asset growth, one of the best performing assets so far for this decade, and we foresee huge growth in the industry.
In the next,
so in a nutshell,
so
yes,
a new digital asset class, which is a store of value that allows you to be able to transform or transfer value from person to person, and there's no middle person. Now let's go straight into it. Why is this industry riddled with so much fear of scam and so much pessimism? Where is that coming from?
Kwame, the issue is very simple. This whole issue surrounding scam it can be zeroed down to lack of education. We have a lot of people jumping into the cryptocurrency space with little or no knowledge at all. As I sit here, even last 2 weeks, I actually went through the Bitcoin white paper again for if my count is correct, for the 13th time. Why would I do that? I have been in the industry for over 4 years. Why would I still read a white paper? As time goes on, you need to be updated with what is happening and compare where the industry is going against the blueprints that we all started from. Bitcoin inclusive, I've read over 2,000 white papers of the over 10,000 cryptocurrencies and tokens on the market currently. So it zeroes down to lack of education. People do not really know what they are dealing with. Hence, the opportunists in the industry and the thieves, as I call them, take advantage of this and rip people off for millions of dollars. So I would stick to the lack of education part of it, not necessarily with the technology, because for me the technology keeps on perfecting as time goes on, and we are yet to see huge and better use case projects in the industry. So yeah. It's mainly due to lack of education.
Amazing. And I'm glad that you did that. I'm glad that, because that's one of the things I talk about, and not just even with cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin. Anybody who's serious about any form of investment needs to do their due diligence. You need to be able to commit yourself to some literature and to doing some background checks. So that's really amazing that you highlight that. Now, the next question probably I will ask is, what are the 3 things I need to know before I get into this space? Then we can talk about whether it is truly beneficial. Is it even real? Some people think, this is like some internet money. Is this money I can chop? Like, is this real? But what are 3 things I need to know before I start this journey?
So first of all, you need to know your why. Why do you want to get into cryptocurrency in the first place? Is it because you want some quick gains? Is it because you are looking at planning your retirement? Why do you want to buy Bitcoin? If you can tell us your why, that will direct you to how you want to get it. Once you know how you want to get it, then the very last one becomes how do you multiply, or how do you withstand the shocks of the industry? Kwame, if you know why, it will take you to the details of the asset. If you know the details of the asset, you know that it runs in a cycle. Just like every market, it has cycles, it has ups and downs. So once you are done, the second most important thing for you to do is to prepare yourself psychologically for days like these. If you wake up one day and Bitcoin goes to zero, would you be able to withstand that shock? If you are done with that, the third and the very last thing that you should know how to do is to prepare yourself also for the long term. If you look at the institutions that are jumping into it, if you look at MicroStrategy and the rest of the big boys that are now jumping into it, some of these institutions have a 30, 40-year plan for their purchasing of Bitcoin. So if you get into the space, you should know your why. Okay, you should prepare yourself for the shocks, and then you should have a plan in place. So these are, for me, the three most important things that you need to know.
This is almost like an investment masterclass. I need to pay you some dollar, but you have more dollar than me. You have more dollar than me, so let's keep it like that. Now, is the money real? Are you able to take the money out and actually chop them? Is it real money or is internet money?
You go for chop on big time. I mean, it's a question that I get almost every
time.
And when people call, they are like, Mr. Can we spend this money? You can spend this money. It's quite unfortunate that we live in a place and in this part of the world where we have limited number of people taking Bitcoin, as payment. And of course, we are all trying to abide by the rules and the statement issued by the BOG, which for me makes a lot of sense. It is not a legal tender, but we are hoping that as time goes on, we'll see a lot of changes in some of these communications, and then we can start accepting it, for payment. However, the industry has gone past converting cryptocurrencies into fiat or into cash. That some of us know it. Where we have intermediaries or startups that are enabling people to make payments, make purchases
directly via crypto.
And even the merchants will not even know that you are paying with cryptocurrency. So that is how far we have grown in this short period of 10 to 12 years in this industry. And we are really optimistic about the future, and we are hoping to see a much, much, much better use of the underlying technology with its blockchain in several aspects of the industry. So yeah, you go feature.
Emmanuel, give me 2 risks that are involved in trading Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies.
Two risks. Well, the very first one is news or fear of uncertainty and detail, where you can have certain news items coming in to disrupt the market structure. When I say market structure, what I'm trying to say is that when you project that Bitcoin has passed certain key levels in terms of trading, and it is poised to hit new all-time highs or new levels, and then someone very influential or very influential institutions, decide to, convert their holdings at a very low price, and they make some form of announcements to that before it happens, you can actually lose out on your positions. And if you don't take your risk management seriously, you might be wiped out. Recent news has shown that just last week, almost about $4 billion worth of positions were liquidated during the huge fall to about $30,000. So that is very important. One of the risks is news. You need to be glued to your Bloomberg terminal. You need to be glued to the CNN, listen to what is happening, and make sure you are strategic in your entry. The second one too is that you would have projects that will promise huge returns or that will promise you heaven and if there's something above the heavens, but it promise you huge, gains in exchange for your Bitcoin. Now, these projects are so well positioned that if you do not have the number one, which is the education in the space, you might fall for it and lose all your Bitcoins. We know people who were in this industry before us, but some of them are still struggling, and some of them have lost their cryptocurrencies and all that due to some of these things. So news and then the scams in the industry, you need to be very, very careful of these two.
Amazing. Now, let me ask a follow-up question. I know, personally, I know you, and I know the types of gains you have seen in crypto. Now, if you take away, this is not financial advice, a disclaimer, by the way, for Emmanuel Kankam and myself, this is not financial advice. We are not licensed in any way to give financial advice. We are also not imploring anyone to go and invest in these assets. As the Bank of Ghana has said, it is not regulated. We're just having a conversation about it so that we can give you information for educational purposes. So let that disclaimer be made and be known. But Emmanuel, if somebody is looking at you, a young person who understands tech, who uses social media, digital platforms, will you encourage them to look into this for themselves because it is actually something that can bring benefit?
Yes, I definitely will. By the grace of God, I have not been fully, or should I officially employed since I left, the University of Ghana. I am a full-time trader, um, but most of my gains, my biggest gains, came from buying some cryptocurrencies 4, 3, 5 years ago, and look at me today, effortlessly just holding on to it, making sure that I don't fall for some of the news, making sure that I don't fall for most of the scams. I have fallen for a few scams before, but the most aspect of my little wealth, came from actually buying not even just Bitcoin, some other
Some other
cryptocurrencies,
things.
and holding on to it for 2, 3 years. Yes, some other things, some 2, 3 years, down the line. So yes, it's been an amazing journey so far. The cycle, I enjoy every part of the cycle. The ups and downs are just beautiful. Some people like us use the opportunity like this to keep on, buying more,
Yeah.
applying the cost
Yeah.
averaging principle,
Yeah.
and buying more and buying more and buying more. So yes, I mean, there's no financial advice like you stated, but then I really encourage, those who can afford the risk to really look at that and, have a more diversified portfolio, a
Portfolio.
little bit of stocks, a little bit of crypto, and a little bit, if you have some money, invest in some startups as well. The
Amazing.
future is very much uncertain, but then the world economy is recovering bit by bit. Money is starting to flow into various economies. So it is very, very essential for people to look at not necessarily safe, but calculated,
I
investment
love that.
opportunities,
I love
and
that.
then look into
I
it.
love that. Now, maybe my last two questions as we bring this to a close. One of them is I
Sure.
have heard very, renowned, very, very serious traders give one particular warning, and I want you to talk about that. They say you don't enter this particular industry with your life savings. What does that mean?
Kwame, it's interesting. That is very, very important. It's important because for me, I believe the industry is still in its baby phases, right? We are yet to see regulations from various countries. I am personally pushing for regulations because I believe we need some form of sanity in the space.
Yeah.
So, um, if you put in your life savings at $65,000
Yeah.
per Bitcoin,
Yeah.
and today you wake up and you have lost 50%, are you psychologically ready to
Prepared.
deal with it?
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
so that is what we are trying to save people from. You don't enter this industry with borrowed money. You don't enter this industry with your life savings. Nothing is guaranteed in this space. We are all riding on some speculation.
Yeah.
It's just 2 or 3 years ago that we are having blockchains or projects with real life music, real life applications. So never do that. Make sure you have a well diversified portfolio. If you can afford an investment expert, speak to one before you jump. I always tell people to speak to an expert before you jump.
Well, Emmanuel is an expert. Emmanuel is an expert. So if you want to speak to someone, I'm dropping his socials on the screen now. Go and jump in his DM and get some advice. My brother, what would be your final words to anybody? But I want you specifically to speak to our policymakers as well. If you can highlight some of the amazing, I am a great blockchain enthusiast. You know that 3-4 years ago, I launched the Ghana AI and Blockchain Forum. We worked on that project together. So for me, it's not even just not just cryptocurrencies, but blockchain as a whole. So speak to policymakers, and let us also speak to young people about the opportunities and the risk, and your final words in about 2-3 minutes, and then we can wrap up the conversation.
Right. Thank you again, Kwame. Just like you said, both of us are more enthusiastic about the technology and not with the assets. The reason being that we are dealing with a technology that promotes transparency and immutability, which is very, very important in this part of our world where we have a lot of transactions that go on that we as a citizens do not have any knowledge about. So I want to first talk to the policymakers that it is very essential. We need the policies. We need them to be very open-minded to this industry, not just with blockchain, with AI, with machine learning, with robotics. We want them to look at where the world is going. We are far behind. I keep telling people this, Kwame, we are far behind in terms of technology, but we have some of the best brains in this country. We have people like Professor Queno. We have people like Professor Professor Samuel Latte, who happens to be a close family friend. We have people in the industry who know what it takes, who have what it takes and know what to do to make these things stand. So we urge them to, sit down, have a discussion with these people. They should draft something for us.
All right, so I've lost him a little bit. I'll try and get him back. But even if I'm not able to, we've gone through the conversation exhaustively, and he's been able to mention some of the risk involved. He was just talking about all of the advantages we stand to gain as a nation, as an economy, and why policymakers should start looking at the underlying technology, not just the digital assets that are popping up on top of it, but blockchain as a technology and all of its merits and the ways that we can use it to help national development. And for everybody who else is interested in the investment of it or benefiting from it in one way or the other, he says, do the due diligence. Thank you so much, Emmanuel Kankam. Sorry that you couldn't land and we had a little bit of a network problem, but the information you delivered to us was so spot on. I know the kind of person you are in this space, and so thank you for having the time with us. Go for a quick commercial break. When I come back, I have some weekly dose of them, so that it will keep you up for the rest of the week. Stick and stay. Commercial break. When I'm back right here, MS Conversations on MX24. Welcome back from that commercial break. We were talking about new ways and new forms of investments and new asset classes that are coming into play. There's one that I found that's quite interesting that you should probably check out. I think that the future of investments will be super interesting. So there's this thing called Earth 2.0, where they have mapped the entire world inch, I think 1 meter to whatever. There's some kind of calculation there, and they're selling all of the land. And these are lands that are being used in video games and all types of virtual environments. And there are people who have already bought entire countries and entire cities. And And when people use your city in their game, they need to pay some level of tax to you in real dollars. And this is a very interesting concept, and one that I threw a little bit of, some $100 in. I own some lands in London and in Paris. Let's see how that goes. But I think that the future will be very interesting. Like he said, Emmanuel says, make sure you do the due diligence and commit yourself to getting enough knowledge about these projects before you jump in. So before I go, which I hate to do, I don't want every day I cry when I want to go, but I'm sure you're used to it by now because I will be back same time next week. I'm not going anywhere. I'll definitely be back. And before I go, I need to give you your weekly dose of that motivational video, that wisdom nugget that will urge you on and push you when it feels like all is wrong. Because we know sometimes it can really be hard. It can be difficult. It feels like the world is coming to an end and nothing is working. But if you can remind yourself of why you started, then you can appreciate how far you've come. And then you might be able to gather the strength you need to be able to urge on and keep doing what you're doing. So, motivational video for the week coming right up. When I come back next week, I have an interesting conversation, one that I've been waiting to have. I've been tracking him down, and finally I've gotten a hold of him. So next week, you wouldn't want to miss. Right here, MX24 will be having a special conversation. I won't tell you the topic. You need to wait and see it. But don't forget, you can always send in the topics you want us to talk about across our social media. Is at MX24GH. Have an amazing rest of week. Enjoy yourself. Do the things that always set your soul on fire. As I always say, Shalom. Peace be with you.
I want to share a very important philosophy with you today. It's a philosophy I think everyone should hear. Proverb 6:8-11. Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander, no overseer or ruler. Yet it stores its provisions in summer and gather its food at harvest. How long will you lie there, you sluggard? When will you get up from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come on you like a bandit and scarcity like an armed man. Here's the 5 philosophy that we can learn from ants. Ants have no commander. Ants don't need a commander to tell them to get started. They work faithfully and need no outside accountability to keep them doing right and doing the right things. They work hard and will replace their anthill when it gets ruined. Meaning, if you want to apply this in your real life, be proactive, be honest to yourself, and be industrious. Ants plan ahead. Ants think winter all summer long. They store provision in summer. They think the clock is running out of time and they are hurrying to get food back to their hive. Meaning, they hustle hard in advance to secure their future. Ants stay positive, always. Ants remind themselves that winter does not last long. They know they'll soon be out. Meaning, whatever happens in your life right now, it will not last forever. Ants never quit. They only change their approach. If they're going somewhere and you stop them or block their pathway, they'll look for another way up, down, all around. They keep looking till they find another way. Meaning, learn to embrace struggle and hardship in your life. Be flexible and be like ants who don't quit. Winners are not quitters. Ants always do their best, meaning give your best in everything you do right now. It will always lead you to the greater things and the next level in your life.